Welcome, everybody, to Inside the Cardinal Playbook, the weekly coaches show concerning William Jewell College athletics. I'm Rick Cole, and our first guest today is head track and field coach Tom Eisenhauer. Welcome, Tom.
Hi, Rick. Thanks for having me.
Well, it's a pleasure, and you guys got a chance to, I would hope, have a little bit warmer weather than we did here in Missouri when you traveled to Texas this weekend. Would you tell us about that?
Yeah, a little bit warmer is an understatement.
How warm was it? Make us all jealous.
We had sunshine every day, and it was the day of the meet. It was actually mid-80s for the high, and so even the first day we practiced, which was Wednesday, the first thing we had to do was just get acclimated to it. And boy, all the kids on the team, they were sweating buckets. So,
really?
You know, you go from scraping snow and going through an ice storm off of Indianapolis, and then here we are 2 weeks later down in Texas. So it was great, though. It was a great meet, great weather. It's exactly what we wanted out of that trip.
Well, yeah, I was going to ask you, is that the reason you traveled to Texas, so you can get a little bit nicer weather and get a chance to really be outside?
It is, and you know, the thing is, last year we went to a meet the same weekend, and it was at the University of Missouri, and you know, it's springtime in Missouri is hit or miss. And,
you bet.
And all spring sports know this, and we went down there, and it was a 2-day meet, and I think the high for both those days was 30 degrees, and so the wind was blowing, it was cold, athletes were cold, and you know, you go down there and you go through your races and all your events, but because of the cold, you really aren't able to perform very well. I mean, cold muscles just don't explode the way warm muscles do, and so the whole idea was, hey, let's go down, go somewhere warmer, do it over our spring break, so we give these kids an opportunity to, you know, get a little bit of time off of campus and have some fun, and that's exactly why we went down there.
Who were some of the teams that were competing against you?
The host school was Texas A&M Kingsville. There was also Texas A&M Commerce, Trinity University, University of the Incarnate Word, Texas Pan American University, and I'm trying to remember a few other ones. I mean, they were all schools that we were seeing for the first time. So they were, like I said, Kingsville was the host school and very hospitable, great coach down there, great administrative staff, and so they welcomed us, and really they were a large part in how we got down there. They really helped us out quite a bit. So.
Let's take a second. I'm going to just change this camera around a little bit. Will you pull that up again, Heather? Yeah, I want it a little bit more centered. It doesn't have to be perfect, but okay. Oops. Yeah, you're welcome. All right, here we go. I'll start here. 3, 2, 1. Those are some of the schools that were there. How did your individuals compete and some of your teams as well?
We did well. You know, on the men's side, we took 6th overall. The women took 7th. And there were essentially 12 teams that were scoring points. So I was very pleased with that. Some of our top performers on the women's side were some of the familiar names we've talked about all season, but Margaret Perko really had a great meet. She ran 14.94 in the 100 hurdles and placed 4th in that event. You know, she took almost half a second off of her best time from last year, which she did at the end of the season. And so coming into this season, first meet of the year, posting that kind of time is fantastic, you know. And the thing is too, we were blessed with warm weather, almost perfect conditions. So it wouldn't surprise me if here in Missouri we get some cold, windy days and we don't go quite as fast. But freshman Alec Whiteside, he was 4th in the men's hammer throw. It was his first time throwing the hammer. It's because it's a collegiate event, it's not a high school event. So he did extremely well. In fact, we're going through our record books to take a look, but we think that's probably a freshman record in the hammer throw. So he's done extremely well. Trevor Nix, he placed, I believe, 5th in the men's shot put. So good day for him. And freshman Blake Alexander, he placed 4th in the men's 110-meter hurdles, and then he came back and also placed 7th in the 400-meter hurdles.
Let's talk about Perko for a moment, because I know she has been somebody that's contributed the last couple of years for you, but what's her background? How did she come here?
Well, she is the third sister to come to William Jewell. So she had 2 older sisters. First one that was a student athlete. And she was actually kind of a really lucky find because she did not start doing track until her junior year. Now,
really?
She originally grew up in the St. Louis area. Then her family moved to Massachusetts. And in the Northeast, high schools compete in an indoor season. Right. So she did indoor track as a junior and then played softball during outdoor track. So essentially was kind of just flying under the radar. And again, we got her because her sisters had come here. I mean, that's probably the primary reason she even considered us. But put up great marks as a junior in the 55 hurdles and in the long jump. And then her senior year decided to not do softball and did track all the way through. And so she's been somebody who's relatively new to the sport,
Sure.
Still has a lot of energy, a lot of enthusiasm, and she's just a competitor.
She must be having a ball because every time we talk, she's somewhere in the finalists or near the top, and so
Yeah.
I would imagine she's having a good time with that.
She is. She's having a lot of fun.
This is such a young team for you, and we've talked about all these young competitors. How does that relate? I mean, in terms of your recruiting class, good recruiting class, obviously, this year, and are you kind of building toward having some of those people progress through the system now?
Absolutely. I mean, that's the goal with all of our program in general. Since we made this commitment to join a new conference and a new division, that was part of the plan from the administration was to build the track program, and so you're seeing that between our sophomore and our junior, our sophomore and our freshman classes.
Sure.
And so, our goal as coaches is just to continue to add to that, not only bringing in talent, but bringing in a depth of talent so that we can compete at the conference level as a team, by getting somebody in every single event, scoring in every single event. And so, we've got a whole bunch of others that weren't even mentioned here today. They're bouncing around in 8th place, 9th place, 10th
Right.
places. And so, when those kids go to their junior year and into their senior year, we expect them to do a lot better. It's with any sport, the experience helps, but also because our sport is based on fitness and strength, it takes time to develop strength and it takes time to develop fitness. And so, just being in the system, being in races, being in meets over years really is where you're going to find people that be successful.
Where are you headed next weekend? You're busy again this coming weekend.
Yeah, well, we're going to go south again, not quite as far south, but we'll go to Pittsburgh, Kansas, and we'll compete at Pittsburgh State University. So that's typically a meet where we get some pretty good weather. Last year we had some serious thunderstorms, so we'll hope that those stay away.
That sounds like a summer problem. That's not too bad.
Yep. So, but we'll look for more good things from us this weekend.
That is head coach Tom Eisenhauer, and we'll be back with more Inside the Cardinal Playbook in just a moment.
When the Fuel Saver program first came out, I was a little concerned that we would start buying things that we didn't need just to save on fuel, and we haven't at all. Our gas budget monthly has gone down, and we spend at least the same amount on groceries, if not less.
Usually when I'm done shopping, I text him to tell him how much I saved. I saved 60 cents off a gallon of gas this week and spent $49.
I think we're averaging about $100 less a month on fuel. You can't beat it because you're already using the stuff anyway, and so you might as well be saving money while you're doing it.
Tanner's is new to Liberty, just south of the Highway 152 and I-35 intersection. They're open Sunday through Tuesday from 11 a.m. until midnight and Wednesday through Saturday from 11 until 1:30 a.m. Come in any day for food specials in the spacious dining area. Happy hour specials are served from 2 spots in the building, and the service is fast and friendly. Tanner's of Liberty, just south of the Highway 152 and I-35 intersection.
It's Inside the Cardinal Playbook, and now we turn our attention to Jewell softball on the road this weekend with a split at Drury and a sweep of Missouri S&T. Dustin Combs joins us, and you win 3 out of 4 on the road. That's, I think, pretty good in any league.
Yeah, I think, in our league, especially on the road, if you can come home 3-1, you got to feel pretty good about your weekend. And really, the way we'd been playing, we certainly feel good about the 3-1 on the road. So, we saw some good things that we really felt like maybe we turned a corner. We hope that's the case. The hitting, the offensive side of the plate, we looked a lot better, and it got contagious.
If you want to back it up a little bit, it's actually 4 out of 6. A split with Southwest Baptist on the midweek game, and then the split and the sweep. Let's talk about Southwest Baptist because Rachel Hayden was the story in Game 1, a no-hitter, and she really had a big weekend. But talk about the no-hitter a little bit.
Well, Rachel is that type of pitcher that once she gets kind of in a rhythm and gets to work at her pace, she's pretty tough. And she was in the zone. She was throwing her changeup so well for a strike and keeping them off balance. And she would tell you the same because it's the type of player she is. Her teammates made some spectacular plays behind her. And to throw a no-hitter at this level, you're going to have to make some big plays. And really, I think she walked 2, or she was she was really pretty solid that day, and really had a great week. In my head, I believe in the last 32 innings, she's allowed 3 runs. So
I was going to say, even going back to the weekend before, she had shut down, again, time has escaped me, but she had shut down the last 14 she'd faced in that previous game, then comes back with a no-hitter. I bet it's been a while since she had given up some runs.
Yeah, and really the 2 runs that she gave up yesterday at S&T were legitimate. The 2-hole who's very good got into one of her fastballs and hit it out of the park. And but the great thing about her yesterday when she was tired, because she threw 11 innings against Drury. She kind of fought through some things and really scattered their hits. So when she was tired, she at least was able to scatter hits, and then we came up with the double play ball and some nice defensive plays to get us out of some innings.
Kind of sounded like Faith Song had a big weekend also for you. How did she perform?
Well, she she got comfortable at the plate. And when she's comfortable at the plate, she can really hurt you, and really one of the more feared probably players in our conference offensively.
During the broadcast last weekend, I talked a little bit about Eileen Greenwood, who, again, because she doesn't come to the plate very often, we don't talk about her except when the ball's hit to her. And when the ball's hit to her, she's very good. Can you talk about her and especially some of the physical things she's had to overcome here in that last year or so?
Yeah, well, she came in as a freshman and won that position over a senior. So Eileen's been, someone who we've counted on for 4 years now at shortstop. That's a good thing to have as a coach, some stability there at shortstop. She, after her sophomore year, had to have a labrum surgery and was set back with her throwing motion. And really, more than anything, the pain she's going through every day, it hurts as a coach to see it, because she's so talented. And really, the reason she doesn't hit is because of that injury. Now she's experienced some rotator cuff problems, and what she gives us, she'll never come up to me and say I can't go.
Yeah.
She's going to give us everything she's got. She made, I don't know how many plays this weekend, but didn't make an error on the weekend. I can't remember the last time she actually has made an error. So solid with any routine play, and then can make some really extraordinary plays.
Your pitching through the last couple of years has been so solid. Rachel leading the way in Faith, and how did they throw in the weekend?
Again, Rachel continues to have a solid last couple outings. Faith struggled against Drury in the second game of the doubleheader. In fact, didn't get out of the inning. We brought Rachel in and to finish the first inning, got us out of the inning, and then didn't allow another run through the game. Unfortunately, we just couldn't get anything going offensively. Hit a lot of balls right at him. So our pitching has, like I said, most games have given us a chance to win. The ones that we haven't. Faith yesterday came back, and she's the type that takes everything personal. She told me immediately after the game on Saturday against Drury, it won't happen again. And so she goes out yesterday and shuts out Missouri S&T. So,
that's a great story.
Yeah, that's how she approaches every game.
Midweek doubleheader coming up against Rockhurst. By the time some of you see this, it's on Wednesday. And then you are, again, the doubleheader's over the weekend, so it's a big 6-game set for you coming up.
Yeah. Well, and Rockhurst being, they're coming off of a 3-1 weekend as well, so I guess, we look at Wednesday as a day where both teams are playing pretty well and are hot. And it's a big game for a lot of reasons, because they are, here in the city and our travel partner. And
Sure.
It's someone who we get up for, and they will in return get up for us. It's a big day as well for us. With Jeff's promotions, Frank White will be throwing out the first pitch. So having a Kansas City Hall of Famer coming out on our campus and throwing out the first pitch is a pretty neat deal. Then going into the weekend, yes, a big weekend in St. Louis as well. UMSL's now leading the conference, winning the conference on our side, and one of the top 25 teams in this country. And then Maryville's playing really well.
Well, it will indeed be a big week for Cardinal softball. Again, if you can make it out Wednesday at 2 o'clock, the Cardinals play Rockhurst. You can also watch it live online and on a delayed basis on Time Warner Sports Channel. Thank you, Dustin.
Thank you,
Continued
Rick.
success. Glad to hear that you had a great weekend.
Thank you.
We'll be back with more Inside the Cardinal Playbook right after this.
Hi, I'm Rachel Callaghy, Head Connections Specialist with Welcome Opportunities, the Northland's only target marketing firm that specializes in turning the thousands of new residents who move to our area each year into your customers. We are the advertising option that's never turned off, torn up, or tossed out. At least not yet, anyway. So if you're looking for the most cost-effective way to reach prospective customers before your competitors, give me a call today at 816-883-8633 or visit my website at welcomeopportunities.com.
Inside the Cardinal Playbook, and now head baseball coach Mike Stockton joins us to talk about the weekend series against Southern Indiana. Good things, bad things. You didn't score a lot of runs, end up winning 1 out of the 4 games. But let's talk about the offense first, because I don't want you to jump off a bridge. I'm not going to give any sharp objects. It had to be frustrating, though.
Well, it's very frustrating, but, you're trying to put it all in perspective. And, I think that Southern Indiana has predominantly been the best team in this league over the last 10 years. And they're only about 4 years removed from winning a national championship.
Right, exactly.
So, when you try to put it all in perspective, I think that what it helps me understand, and hopefully I'm relaying that message to our players, is how close we are to competing with the best in our conference. And, quite frankly, they struggled hitting the ball just as much as we did.
I was going to say. Yeah.
And they just had a couple of timely hits. And they're, if you take away a few of the plays their center fielder made, I feel like their pitching staff was great, but, their center fielder made a couple of plays that just absolutely changed the game for them. And if he doesn't make those catches, we have the lead, and now we're pitching with the lead. And, we could have easily come away with another victory or a couple of more victories. So I think as frustrating as the hitting is, when I look at the overall picture, the message that I'm finding out about ourselves and our team is that, we're right there competing with the best. And, if we can keep a good attitude, we're going to be right there in the end, I feel like, to make the postseason.
Mike, I'm going to tell you, and I'll go out on a limb because I don't think it's a limb, but I'll go out and just say it because I know you can't or won't. But I thought your pitching was better than theirs this weekend. The difference was in the offense. You scored 3 runs in 4 games, but your pitching was better than theirs. And I agree, they have been the best and may well be the best in the East this year. Yeah. So I was totally encouraged by your performance winning. Even though they won 3 out of 4, I thought our pitching was excellent. You've been saying that all year, though.
Yeah.
We've talked about the offense and the pitching, but boy, defensively, I thought you guys were solid. There was one inning at the very end of the day Sunday that kind of got away from you, but a couple of kids I want to talk about. Your third baseman is a freshman and seemed to play very well during this whole doubleheader.
Yeah, he, he's been solid for us over there for sure. Our whole defense has been solid, but one thing that we have to do a better job of is not letting one mistake turn into 2. Right. When they got the go-ahead run, we kind of fell apart a little bit defensively. And there's a big difference between trying to score 1 run at the end, scratching across 1, and then all of a sudden trying to score
Absolutely.
2 or 3. And
right.
So that last inning hurt us. We didn't keep our composure well. You just can't fall apart like that.
Right.
And if we can come back off the field in the bottom of the 9th, only having to score 1 run, I mean, that's a big difference.
Right. It was a 2-0 loss in that game, and multiple errors in the 4th game of the series. Mm-hmm. But Brian Porting was solid at third base. You turned a handful of double plays, though. Coleman Waheed and Brian Rezin up the middle.
Yep.
They're the real deal.
Yeah. Defensively, we've got a good ball club. There's no doubt about it. And a coach friend of mine called me this morning, and we were talking baseball a little bit, and he said, "How's everything going?" And he said, I said, "Well, we pitch it real well, and we play good defense." And he said, "Well, I thought pitching and defense wins championships." I said, "Well, whoever made that up's a liar," because we're pitching it and
well,
playing
the season's
defense
not over
well.
yet. Well, let's find out where it goes. I thought it was real encouraging. Some of your kids afterwards, they were talking about how we'll see Southern Indiana again,
yeah.
Which I took to mean that they understand how good they are, but that the aim is to get into that conference tournament and then maybe see those really good teams again.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what I told our guys over the weekend was that, you're starting to see this team transform right before their eyes of how we're starting to compete with everybody.
You bet.
I mean, just 2 years ago, that team would have beat us so badly that we wouldn't have had any chance to compete. And before our very eyes, we are starting to see the development of our program in Division II, and it's headed in the right direction.
Yeah, boy, the pitching again was so good, the defense so good, and now just lacking a little bit of punch at the plate.
Yeah, and I think what big challenge for us right now moving forward is, I think to a fault sometimes I'm not a silver lining guy. I'm a little pessimistic by nature, and
which is the job of the head coach, by the way.
Well, okay, but
assistants can be optimistic.
Yeah, but I think a big challenge for us right now is to stay positive and to find a way to just keep grinding through, because even though the losses were disappointing, we are right there, and if we can continue to just grind through it, we're going to be okay.
Hey, real quickly, each of the GLVC sports seems to do it differently, but how many teams do they take? How do you get into that conference tournament?
Well, 8 teams go to the postseason tournament, and there are 3 from the East and 3 from the West will go, and that's based on your winning percentage in the conference. So those 6 automatic qualifiers get to go, and then the final 2 spots are based on the 7th and 8th place team that has the best conference record.
So 2 wild cards?
2 wild cards, and it could possibly be 5 teams from one conference,
right?
Not a 4 and a 4 split.
Sure. So it doesn't have to be the wild cards. You can come from either division.
Yep.
Finally, when you go on the road this weekend, it's Maryville, and that's shaping up to be a very big series for you guys.
Yeah, every game's big.
Yeah.
And I've told our guys that, you just have to focus one game at a time, but they're all big. We can't overlook anyone. We have to go into every series feeling like we're the underdog and that we have everything to prove. But it's going to be a big series for sure.
All right, that's Mike Stockton, inside the Cardinal Playbook, head baseball coach at William Jewell, and we'll be back with more here in just a moment.
My name is Jesse Limeculer, CEO of Belvoir Winery. The goal of the winery is to serve Liberty as best we can, to make it a destination for people to come to Liberty. There's a lot to see as far as the history goes, from the Odd Fellows to the other buildings that are available on the property. And then also it's a business in the sense that we do a lot of events, baby showers, wedding showers, anniversaries, birthdays, and weddings. We're open 7 days a week, 11 to 4 Monday through Wednesday, 11 to 8 Thursday through Saturday, and 12 to 6 on Sunday. Belvoir Winery, 110 years in the making.
Assistant baseball coach Rafi Cedeno joins us here inside the Cardinal Playbook. Rafi, thanks for coming. You've got several interesting stories, but let's talk about your background first. How did you get to William Jewell as Mike Stockton's assistant?
Well, really interesting story. I was back in San Diego getting my master's degrees and came back here. My wife got a job here. And I remember I played against William Jewell when I was at Graceland,
right?
And I remember, man, they dominated back then.
That's what I wanted to hear.
It was impressive. I mean, every year there was a lot of pressure playing William Jewell, and the whole Cardinal pride, and I will never forget. And came back here to Kansas City, and I thought, I want to be part of that,
right?
And I was taking a break from baseball for a while. I mean, I've been always involved. I know a lot of people who are still playing,
sure,
people who, work with the game. But myself, I was taking a little break. Came to Kansas City, emailed coach, and offered him, that I wanted to be part of it. And I got with him. We talked about baseball for hours.
Right.
Yeah, we went and ran some errands, and on our way there, we talked about baseball.
No, wait, let me get this straight. Mike made you run errands with him?
Yeah.
What a guy.
He is, I was like, I love this guy already. I remember we met at the baseball field. We talked for a while, and he said, hey, I have to go and pick up a hitting machine. Do you want to come with me? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So we went there, and on our way there, we talked. On our way back, we talked about the game. We talked a little bit about, personal stuff.
Sure.
But, yeah, so that was it. And then he called me within, 2 days and say, hey, you want to be part of, the Cardinal Nation?
That's neat.
I'm like, yeah, man, absolutely. So That was it. I mean, I really believe that, a lot of things happen right time, right place.
Right.
And I think I was right there. And it happened. Became part of the team and started working with the catchers and, help here and there with the, offense and with the pitchers and really with any guy that really wants to get better. So, being here for 2 years now and loving it and being happy and proud of being on the team,
You're not a real big guy. Were you a catcher at Graceland?
I was, in and out from catching, infielder, outfielder. So I said, I see myself as an outfielder now because I really worked on my speed. I was running 6'6", 6'7" in the 60s. I ran a few times 6'5". So I was seeing myself as stealing bases and, just causing trouble, pretty much.
Well, I would think that all of that is going to help you as a coach because you've touched each of those positions outside of maybe pitching.
It's a great thing that you say that because I wasn't just stuck in one position.
Right.
The only thing that I didn't touch a lot was pitching.
Right.
I mean, I didn't pitch much. I mean, we all do something when when we're young, but at the highest level, like when I was, with Houston and with the Yankees, I worked with the pitchers because I was a catcher. Learning second base, shortstop, first base, I did a little bit of that also, catching, outfielder. So I feel like I can help a lot of people with, with what, what I learned through the years. And I mean, the biggest way to learn is not also playing, but talking to the people who play the position.
Right.
You know what I mean? And like I told you before, I know a lot of people who are still in the game, who are still in the business, and anytime I get a chance, hey, what's going on? Help me out here.
Let's talk about that a little bit because you had a chance to go to spring training with the Royals.
Yes.
And you have some friends there. Let's talk about that experience and what it was like.
Oh, man. It really made me remember when I was back in the academy. I mean, not a lot of things have changed. Besides, I'm getting older.
Yeah, well, you both, brother.
Yeah. I mean, Salvador Perez, their catcher, is a really good friend of mine. And, being from Venezuela, it doesn't matter where you are. Once you see a Venezuelan guy in the town, we're homies. You know what I mean? It's just that close. And when I was in the clubhouse, I asked a few guys a few questions. I got to talk to Shields and asking about how he gets ready. And so, it helps out because if I have a guy who's struggling with, mental toughness, I can come in and say, hey, this is what this guy is doing. He's in the majors.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like, let's try that.
Credibility. You've got some credibility.
It's not just, some random guy, telling me, oh, you should do this. I talk to a guy who's in the business, who's making a living out of it.
Right.
And, I mean, if it's working for him, why shouldn't you try?
Right.
Right?
Rafi, before I let you go, you've got to tell, and I got a chance to meet your mom a couple of years ago. She's a big deal in Venezuela. Can you tell a little bit about her?
Yeah, she did a lot of television back in Venezuela, and she was an actress and a model. My grandfather was a great boxing promoter, and that's how she met my dad, because my dad was the boxing trainer.
Okay.
And she was the the girl announcing the rounds, and
really,
yeah, she walked around, and they met, and so she was pretty much in the acting business back in Venezuela since I was a little baby. Even before then, she was a model. So I mean, I grew up with boxing. Boxing is huge in my family because of my grandpa and my dad. Baseball is huge also.
Right.
So, and acting because of my mom, acting and singing and dancing. So it's a really interesting mix of sports and arts. And
you're right about that, and I wish we had more time because this has been fascinating, but we are out of time. Thank you, Rafi, for coming in and visiting, and we will talk more to Rafi. Back with the final word on the Inside the Cardinal Playbook show in just a moment.
A world without breast cancer is a world with more birthdays. And signing up for the Making Strides Against Breast Cancer Walk will help us get there faster. The American Cancer Society invests in groundbreaking breast cancer research, and we're part of every community. In fact, 1 in 2 women newly diagnosed with breast cancer turns to us for support. Sign up today at makingstrideswalk.org. Together, we can finish the fight against breast cancer.
And that's Inside the Cardinal Playbook for this week. We want to thank our coaches, Dustin Combs, Mike Stockton, Tom Eisenhauer, and assistant baseball coach Rafi Cedeno for joining us. We will be back next week with more Inside the Cardinal Playbook.